Rufino, Jacobe is the speaker number 2. Knots in my lifeline. I've already instructed. Only when you turn back to start. Knots in my lifeline. Toastmaster Rufino, Jacobe.
No, I'm not going to commit suicide if that is the question in your mind. Instead, I ask you to imagine this as your lifeline. I'm sure every one of us dreams of having one that is straight, smooth, and just perfectly blessed. But who does? Mr. Contest Master, friends, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, my lifeline is no perfect one, marred by knots of angst and fears. The very first knot in my lifeline was my fear of heights. Well, actually, until now. As a young boy, I was often ridiculed by my peers as I was often left behind whenever games involved climbing anywhere high, be it trees, rooftops, even riding swings. My young self-esteem suffered under the merciless teasing. The second knot I soon realized was being born the youngest in a family of 11 children. Family planning? Not in my family. Family planting, yes. It was a circus. I was lost in the cacophony of raising a big family. In fact, I suspect they would only remember me when elder siblings, all 10 of them, would pass on an errand down to me. I see the guilty faces of elder brothers and sisters here. Yes, spoiled youngest, no such thing in my family. Which brings about another knot. My very own father, a military man, he was the typical tyrant. I don't care if tears running down your face and nose, young man, but you look me in the face when I'm talking to you. You make sure that all of your tasks here in the farm are finished before you go to school and be back by curfew hour. Yes, sir. High school came. Another knot was added. With the standards propagated by the media, I wasn't exactly the best looking lad. My self-esteem suffered a lot of notches further. But a more serious knot came when it was time for college. With a big family like mine, there was not enough money for that. I had to win a scholarship which I couldn't afford to lose. And I had to take it 1 inch at a time till graduation. But alas, finally when I found a big job, a high-paying job in the big city, I thought finally my knots would be behind me. But no, because one day, with barely any savings in the big city, I lost my job. At that time, to me, it was the final straw. I felt like the knots in my lifeline have turned my lifeline into one big, ugly, choking web. I was suffocated. I was screaming for space. I felt the world closing in on me. One day I ran high, atop a 50-story high building, and there, right at the helipad, rocked myself for hours. But after the initial fright, I discovered I actually began to enjoy the distance from the maddening crowd. Calm took over, and soon introspection followed. And there, 50 stories high, I re-examined the knots in my lifeline. And to my amazement, I discovered the very same knots have become my anchors of strength. Being born the youngest of 11 children made me independent as I struggled to be recognized for my own rights. Being born with a military father instilled in me a discipline to steer clear from the idiocy of drugs, drinking, and gangs. As I was feeling disadvantaged in looks, I discovered my inner gifts, my talents, and actually realized I was quite a popular student leader. Struggling to maintain my scholarship in college made me graduate as a magna cum laude. Well, I would have wished for summa cum laude, but well, magna it was. With renewed vigor, I actually realized that without these knots, it would have been easy to slip off and fall as I struggled to move higher. And thus, I started a new career in people development and training, something which I've been in for over 12 years now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I pulled through because my nuts, I realized, were actually my anchors of might. And I looked around at the world and I saw this world is rich of people who have done the same. Lance Armstrong, the cyclist, whose knot was testicular cancer, but from which he survived, making him even more determined to win the Tour de France for 4 consecutive years, from 1999 to 2002, making him the greatest American cyclist ever. Walt Disney, whose knot was poverty as he slept in a garage, crawling with mice, but which led him to create Mickey Mouse, which is today the big Disney dynasty, bringing laughter and fun to millions of people the world over. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the world is full of these people who've made their knots their strengths. And yes, this includes the very people, the very heroes you hold dear in your hearts. Heroes who have survived and who have made their knots and lifelines one big, beautiful web of hope and inspiration. Today, I ask you, look around this hall. All of us with our versions of knots in our lifelines. And today I pose a question. Will these knots tie you down? Even my knot of fear of heights became the very knot which cleared my mind. Yes, the question is this. Will these knots tie you down, stagnated, isolated? Or will these knots be your might, connecting you to one big web of triumph? The choice, ladies and gentlemen, is yours, Mr. Contest Master.
Maganda.